Ryan and Rich welcome you to our NR Stuff podcast.
Dear listener, welcome back. We did a little foreshadowing last episode. And Ryan, what's the first thing we should just knock out?
Well, I think we should talk about some of our other social media activities. What other knowledge are we sharing? What other things are we doing? What crazy stuff are we doing? For that, I'll start it off with you to see what crazy stuff you're up to.
Well, I'm already deviating from the script, Ryan.
Of course.
Because I'm going to go with, why did we start podcasting? And
okay.
I'm not too sure we probably have. We're like, what, 15 episodes in? We've got a few episodes. We may have talked about this, but I'll just make it really quick. I used to do a lot of podcasting. And I think I said something about missing podcasting. And Ryan's like, well, I'll podcast with you. Because me and Ryan just like to hang out. And so it was like, well, why don't we turn our hangout sessions into a podcast? And that way we have more hangout sessions and we actually can talk about things. And you know what, dude? It's really been inspiring to make me do more things, which kind of relates to my other thing. But what do you think? Is that kind of how the podcast started? Am I remembering this right?
It's pretty close. I was kind of joking a little bit, and here we are. It's not going to be episode 16. Well, joke's on me. No, I'm glad we're doing it. I'm having a great time, but I really was kind of said it as a joke. And you're like, all right, that sounds great. Like, all right. Okay.
Like, I'll see you next week. We're going to stare. I got all the stuff. I know all the things to do. I just never did them. I always watched other people do them.
Exactly.
Kind of deal. And then you got the website going. You got all the technicals done on that side of the fence. I do a little bit of the editing, and we just kind of have a nice 50-50 workload. I think everything's pretty inexpensive. I mean, I used the Franklin Language Master to make our intros now, so that was from the freebie pile. And you host it very economically.
Yes.
And I just need to buy you dinner every now and then to ensure we're squared up.
I'm fine with that. But what you mean by you do a little bit of the editing, you do all of the editing.
Oh yeah. But that way, if it's bad, I can blame someone else. I can be like, oh, it's that editor Chuck.
Right.
That's what we could do. We could start just doing Chuck in the cloud. We'd be like, hey, Chuck, fix that. And it's actually me, but no one knows that. They all blame Chuck.
Right.
I like
exactly. That's very possible. I kind of show up and I make sure it gets posted.
Yeah.
And hopefully our web server stays up and all that goodness.
So for me, dude, it all started on TikTok. I got on TikTok and I said, you know what? I'm going to be a content creator. And I started making, same videos everybody made. Dance videos, joke videos. Every now and then I'd have my own vision and I'd have one that myself did.
Nice.
And my daughter and her friends were over seeing me do something. And they were like, you should TikTok that. People would watch that. People would watch you doing that. Well, TikTok is a 3-minute format. I think they got bigger now. And I kind of did a few things there. My life pro tip for the Mac keyboard repair, my most liked, my most shared video inside my whole thing with comedy and lip syncing and other shit stuff. The life pro tip is the big one.
Really?
But I found it's really hard to edit for TikTok because it's not long form. So you either have to sit down and really focus on how you're doing the thing to be entertaining with the thing you're doing.
Okay.
Or you got to do a lot of chops and clips and edits.
All right.
And then go on.
You still do TikTok?
Oh, every now and then something will drop. You can find me They Call Me Big Boomer. That was also a joke with the younger crowd on HSC that I hang out with, that I always call myself a boomer. And we were online and they were something about someone on TikTok. And I said, yeah, I got a TikTok. They call me Big Boomer. And I didn't have a TikTok. So I went and got one real quick. And everyone was like, there's a big boomer. So,
nice.
But I do need to do more on there because it is fun. And we you can have some fun times with that creation. But it really got me kind of like wanting to be a content creator. So I went to YouTube because you know what I do? Long format videos. I'm Adrian Black. I'm 8-Bit Guy, except I post a hell of a lot more than 8-Bit Guy. He's gone down to like once every 3 months because of the Time Rift Arcade that he's dealing with. I can't wait to go there. When you come
I
down and
saw-
visit, we'll have to do something and make a trip.
Oh, is it close to you?
Yeah, he's going to be hour and a half from where I'm at.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
I saw him doing a repair or restoration of a couple arcade consoles or arcade stand-up machines.
You are exact. That's Time Rift Arcade.
Okay.
So yes, I like those people. And I like
Yes.
to watch those people. I like to put those videos on, and I like to just have them on like a TV show. And so
Sure.
I said, Self, why don't I just go to YouTube and do this? One, it'll give me inspiration to make content because I'll have a schedule, right? Every week I want to drop a video. And trust me, guys, dear listener, this does not get in my head. If I miss a week, life's life, right? I give
Sure.
shits, right? If I miss a week, I miss a week. But by trying to stay to a week, Ryan, I'm always on my projects.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Always on my retro projects. I'm always going, what's the next one? What could I do here that's different or new? And sometimes I repeat things. I don't care. Sometimes I've tested 3 Commodores on there.
Okay.
And each have a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
different thing. You could say after one Commodore test video, you're done. But this last Salvation Army Commodore, it's bad. I sent you pictures. The
Yes.
A500 Plus is an angel compared to this devil that's on my desk. So I buttoned it up, by the way. Anyways,
Okay.
you can go watch the latest episode.
Yeah.
But it gives me experience. It makes me push. And I'm trying to get my presentation skills a little bit better, which also even helped me in life with my job as a sales
Yeah.
engineer.
No, definitely.
So I'm really enjoying YouTube. And I have had quite a bit of channel growth. I've done only advertising I've ever done was Ryan. So we wrapped up VCF East. I made a bunch of B-roll and I sat in the hotel before we left for the last day and I narrated and dropped it. And I made a video. There's so many people that are so much smarter than me, Ryan, that can make videos about the Amiga land or make videos about the microcomputers or, Usagi. There's so many people more smart than me. But I can tell people what it's like to come to VCF East.
Oh, sure.
Ryan shared it. It was the first video out about VCF East. No one dropped a video yet. So I was the first one to hit the market. And I went skyrocket on views. I actually picked up more viewers. So otherwise, I've been completely organic. And just
great video, by the way. If you haven't seen it, it's very great video.
I had criticism constructive criticism from my father and from your wife and from my partner. And she said the same thing that your wife said was, you're panning too fast.
Oh, yeah.
And my dad goes, hey, I really like that video. I didn't have a script, but I think about this shit for like 10 hours. And then I say it. He said, everything was great, but you just were panning too fast. I was like, and then Sarah is like, oh, I really like this video. You were panning too fast. And I'm like, I get it. God, I get it.
That's awesome.
But it was really good that I have people in my life that don't just blow smoke, that they watch and they go blue. My dad will give me other feedback points too. He was a big Toastmaster back in the day. So he'll hit me with ideas or, I really like this, or you did better this video. So that's why I love YouTube. I can make my long formats. I literally turn the cameras on, Ryan, and I just start working. Sometimes you'll see these cuts because I just stop. Sometimes I just need to ponder what I'm doing. Sometimes I want to do something without talking. And I'll either speed that up or I just cut it out. And I just want people to see my journey. I think in one of my videos, I said, look, if I can do this, anyone can do this. There might be some 22-year-old kid who's thinking about this retro stuff and sees this and goes, you know what? I don't need to be a boomer to be able to do this. I need a soldering iron. Because that's all I started with was a soldering iron and some BW100. And away I went.
Yeah, make sure you get a good soldering iron. Don't buy the El Cheapo thing. You'll be very sad.
That might be my next purchase, by the way. It's just fluxing a little too much. How much does yours flux between perfect heat and not enough heat?
When mine's on temp, it pretty much stays on temp.
Mine will flux down now. It never felt like this before. I was doing my Arduino project. I get like 3 or 4 pins, and then all of a sudden it's like What's up? What? Okay, I'm back. 5/6 pins. What's up? Other side completely done. And so I don't know if Hacko makes a soldering iron, but
I do.
okay, because that desoldering tool that you got me to buy, dude. Wow, I used it in this last video.
It's great.
The only reason it wasn't done the first time is because I'm just not good with the tool yet.
Okay.
But it knocked out 80% of what I needed with me being a dummy. So that's why I do YouTube, and that's why I love YouTube, and I want to share that. Hopefully, some of these people might hear about our projects and want to see a little bit more in depth of what's going on, or if they can put up with my so-called sense of humor, they might have a good time.
Oh, I think they will. Your humor's spot on, especially if you're here and you're this far into our podcast episodes. You're good. That's just kind of where I'm at. For you, the Hacko, they make a good soldering iron. I have a Weller.
Oh, Weller's a great brand.
And I love that. I love the soldering iron that they have as well. So they're both awesome.
You hear me typing Hacko soldering iron?
Yep.
Oh, it's still the same beautiful, like blue and green.
Yeah, it looks exactly the same. So they work well. You can pick them up at Micro Center if you want. I got my Weller at Micro Center. Really love it. It was a great buy. Make sure you check around a little bit as a pro tip. Sometimes if it's Micro Center price matched because their prices were higher than Amazon, and as long as it's sold by Amazon, they'll actually match it at Micro Center as well.
That's how I got the Hacko.
Yep.
Ryan and I went in, and the guy's like, "What?" And he's, "Oh yeah, that's right." Ryan's like, "Give him his discount," and I got my discount. Yeah, this is kind of nice, dude. They got one for like almost $300. But anyways, that is everyone. You might see the Hacko on the channel if you come watch, because I'm pretty sure I'm picking that up. But Ryan, you're not all about the visual arts.
I've done a little bit. I've done some guest star spots while I was out visiting you. And I think we've mentioned earlier that there will be a time where I will be a phone a friend in one of your videos, and I'm looking forward to that. But I'm in more of a blog kind of retro mode. Hey, here's text. I like text. I want to be able to scan down through it. I want to see my configs. I want to be able to share my configs. So I do a little bit of that. I haven't been doing anywhere near as much as you're doing. I am not a good writer. So this is helping me actually do something, like write and work on a project. I found this.
Everyone, Ryan made his way back to the show.
Woo-hoo!
So Ryan,
cyberspace.
I'll be the audience. We basically heard, which I'm very surprised to hear you say, that you don't feel like you're a good writer, and that this is really a nice way of you kind of expanding your writing skills. Because I've read your post, but go on, keep going with that idea.
Oh, for me, that one blog post took me hours. I must write that thing about 4 or 5 times before it actually gets out there. I'll have a couple pictures here or there. They're pretty easy to put in. But the actual writing, I'll write it in a way that it's like, here's the content. And then I'll come back a day later and start doing stuff to make it go a little less techniques. And then I'll come back next day and go, what was I writing? What is that? And then I'll come back again and make sure, so each one of these for me is a day break at a minimum by the time I come back and go do it. It's just, I cannot reliably sit down and write something that's going to actually be good. It is amazingly difficult for me to do that. I'm not wired that way. I've never been like that. I hate writing. I really don't like it. I want to just go get stuff done and do it. Or I'm writing things in a note format, not a story format. And I want a story. If I'm writing it, I want the content to be there and be useful. Mm-hmm. Someone, including myself. Even if no one else looks at it, I can go back and read what I did, and I can follow what I did and reproduce what I did. And if it's for nobody else other than me, it's my documentation. I want to add a little bit of humor into it if I can for a technical thing, which humor is humor. You'll see some in there intermixed, and go from there. And that's what it is. And I'm hoping I help at least one other person.
Yeah, that's really crazy. I really like the way your articles are written and they're laid out. It is obviously the amount of thought that you're putting into this that I see when I read them. I never knew the exercise you went through. You know, at work, when I got to do an RFP, man, ChatGPT is the king. But that would kind of defeat the purpose of your exercise.
Right.
To say, hey, I want you to rewrite this in this format and blah, blah, blah. And it would kick you back something. You could kick into Grammarly and then you could clean it up. But no, it's the journey. Now, do you use that much in the way of inspiration for what you want to do next? Or is it pushing you to do more or do less? How's it affecting your bench time?
It helps it, actually. It's letting me do more because I'm looking at like, oh, instead of I should do this thing, I am now doing this thing. We're going to the Yoda try or try not. There's no try here. We're doing it.
That's right.
Do it. It's not like, well, I'm going to get to this. I'll go watch TV for 2 hours. No. I'm going to go do the thing. And I'm also randomly, as the day we're recording this, I believe is Talk Like Yoda Day. So
no way.
I believe it is. So
it is the day it is to Talk Like Yoda Day.
So do work, kind of thing. So we'll get this done. But that's really my adventure of, hey, now I have a project. I know I want to do a thing. I just finished. It's been over a month since I posted my last one as of this recording. And it was talking about the ADF disk thing that we talked about in a previous episode. I have content of like connecting some to an Amiga to a Raspberry Pi to get it out on the internet through a serial PPP connection. So I can get on the internet using an old Raspberry Pi 1 with a USB to serial connector and an all modem cable, and then loading the TCP/IP stack on the Amiga and getting out to the internet. And will be coming at some point. It's probably going to be a little bit, but that's my next thing where I've spent a week, 2 weeks getting all the content together and getting the config files I need. Like, this is what you do on the Pi. This is what you do on the Amiga. Here's your settings. And now be able to like take that and put it in a format that's not stuff that makes mostly sense in my brain to other people can actually look at it and hopefully follow it and find it useful. I've used a lot of other people's websites where, hey, this person did it with a Mister, or this person did it with something else, and I'm doing a little different take on it, but it's not a unique thing. So it's that kind of situation.
It's funny, Ryan. I'm looking back on both our comments, right? I like the idea that I could inspire, entertain, and no one should watch my videos for how to do shit. No one, you should not look up repairing Commodore data sets and go, this is the guy that knows what he's doing. This is a guy that stumbled into getting it working by spraying stuff and banging it.
Sure.
But when it comes to how to do it, having written text for me is great. I like to visually see things, but then I also will go find people's articles. Like I'll be on the VCF forums or I'll be someplace else. Right. I'll see what people are writing. Now that I think about that in your blog posts, yeah, dude, people like when I want to try doing this split file worm drive Amiga thing, I can bring that up on one monitor and follow along and do it.
Yeah. I laid out the commands you run on Linux and what commands to do to split it. How do you split it into a size that'll fit on a floppy disk? And then a tool that makes the ADF. And now you put it on the GoTech, and then you got to mount them as a drive. And then what commands you run on the Amiga side to take these four things that you've just copied to your hard drive, put them back together so you can unelectric it.
Well, I think those are two really good reasons to do things, and I'm glad we chatted about some of the other things we get into.
Right.
just just like I do some gaming stuff with the folks over at High Shelf Collective. So I mean on Twitch, not as much as I used to in the past, but definitely that's a home for me to do things. We just play games. We play board game, tabletop games over there.
Seems fun.
So you never know. Someone might want to go check out tabletop games, and that's someplace to go. By the way, we are in like the 2% or something like that. They set some stats they posted in our management group, and we're doing. I mean, it's a small percentage. I mean, tabletop role-playing games is not a big percentage, but we're in a pretty good spot for that with the number of views and consistency. So that's always
good.
But now, when I'm not twitching, and I'm not YouTubing, and I'm not podcasting, I'm working on shit.
Right, we got to get stuff done. We need content,
dude. We're gonna.
What are you working on?
A little bonus content for this episode. The Red Storm Rising we talked about last time. It got me to go, wow, I wonder if I can make my disk drive like 9 and I can make my Raspberry Pi 8. And when I want to play games, I'll just load them off of device ID 9. Yeah, that doesn't work. The game needs to come back to 8. So if you load it on 9, it'll start looking at device ID 8 for information.
Oh, wow.
It does. Okay. That may be different on Amiga Land. That may be different on other games. Red Storm Rising, I loaded it on 9. It just locked up because it went to 8. 8's like, I got nothing for you, man. And so that turned into I had to make a device ID switch because I'd already broken the thing that changes the device ID number on the PCB. I had to solder it back and make it 8. And then I'm still in the same boat. Then anytime I'm using this, the other one's conflicting. And so I went to the switch, man, and I added a little toggle switch from Micro Center.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I made it to where you flip it one way, you're on device ID 8. You flip it another way, you're on device ID 10. And
perfect.
It worked great. I bought 2 switches when I went there. They only had 2. Because they keep a lot of stuff, but they only have like 1 or 2.
Yeah, I know.
I know. But because, how often do they sell 2 little little micro switches?
Sure. But I'm just happy they have what they have.
Yeah. Same here. I'll buy 1. So I bought 2. And I'm really glad because I broke one. And so I needed the second one. Just like when I bought that SID chip replacement, I bought 2. Because I was like, well, I don't want to wait another week. I might as well just buy 2. I'll probably have another thing that breaks.
Did you film how you broke the switch?
Yeah, I did. It's in the video.
Oh, good. I have to watch that.
Yeah, I'm putting the case together, and it wasn't out of the way. It was.
Oh no.
Yeah, I thought it was out of the way. I even was like, oh, this is great. It's going to fit perfect. And then I did it, and it was like, no, it's broke. And,
oh no.
So then I fixed it for the second one. I learned, but now my 1541 has 2 holes.
It's fine.
Now, and people did comment that someone's like, "Oh yes, I was screaming at the thing. Don't put it there," because that's the thing. You've done it. If you've done it, you're like, "Oh, dude, don't put it there. It's not going to work. It's not going to work." And then they see it not work. So that was a really good project. And again, I'm sitting there playing around, going, "This is what I want to do," and so I just made a video out of it. I said, "I'm going to just do that." And so that's kind of how I have a project that comes up, and I said, "Let's do a video about it."
Yep.
Do you do projects and then think about a blog post, or do you think about a blog post and then do a project?
Generally, I'm going to do the project and then think about the blog post.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at it from my perspective of I want to do thing. Oh, I just did thing, or maybe I did it I did it on my Amiga 1200, the serial link. And it's like, oh, I didn't write all that down. So I did it again on an Amiga 2000.
I think there's probably a lot of people, even on YouTube, that do things twice and then record the second. I just go all in, baby.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
What you see is what you got. I didn't practice. I didn't try it on another one. It's just it. It's just it. But yes, when you're writing an article, a tech document, it totally does. I was doing that at work today with that big, long meeting on the server. I was keeping really exact notes. We were recording the conference just so we had the video evidence to go back to. But I was taking really good notes, not making a blog. I was just noting everything we did step by step. Because otherwise, there's so many steps, you forget stuff. So good point. Very good call.
But it was more of like, hey, oh, I should write a blog. You encourage, because I didn't write one for a while before that, and then we were talking, and I'm like, oh, I really need to do that. So I had to go redo. It's been long enough. I had to go redo it to not put out bogus information. It's like, well, that would have been misleading because I'm an idiot and I forgot this one command, and I don't want to do that.
Oh, and the internet's a cruel, cruel mistress. You forget a
Well,
command, and everyone will tell you.
well, what's great about the blog post and our website is we are static web pages, so there are no forums. They're hidden a place to tell me that I screwed it up. I guess you could email us, but there is not a place. There's no forums.
Dude, we need a Discord.
Do
What
we?
if we did an R&R Dust Stuff Discord with a little the like breakdowns underneath it? You know, like the YouTube channel, the blog posting, the this, the that. Think about it. Think about it. Don't say yes now. Think about it.
Possibly.
That
I'm
actually
more-
meant don't say no now.
Okay, fair. Okay. Well, that'll be a discussion for a later point in time. But yeah.
It is. And it's really hard running a Discord. I mean, you have one, but it's very private.
Yes.
You know, we have a public one, and there's a lot of moderation has to happen. There's a lot of bots. There's a lot of trolling. There's a lot of somehow people come to our little Discord world and they go, after a month, they'll be like, it's just really nice here. And we're like, yeah, because we don't put up with shit. You get toxic,
Right.
you get tossed out. It's that. I mean, and that doesn't mean we have a ton of people, but the people there are all engaged and having fun.
Right. And it's right now that moderation is the thing that I don't want to deal with.
I don't want to. Yeah.
So that's a concern. It's a
Nope.
thing of careful about. It's with the same thing of like, don't put a thing on your resume that you don't want to do,
That's right.
because that will be the thing that they find, and you're going to be doing it.
By the way, this comes from the software developer guy. Don't
Yes.
know the thing you don't want to do because they will hire your ass for it.
I'll be like, wait, what? That's not what. Why are? Oh, what just happened?
So,
Yeah.
are you going to make a blog post on this EEPROM stuff going on in your world?
Probably. I have a lot of commands for it as well. But so the EEPROM that we're hinting at is we got these older machines. Well, you can't just flash them. That's not a thing on these guys.
I know.
So there's an EEPROM, which is a chip that is programmable, but it needs programmed with certain voltages at certain levels to simulate the bits. And when you erase them, you take this little sticker off the little crystal, and then you hit it with UV light for some amount of time, and that will flip all the bits back to zero.
God, that's amazing, dude. How did we even think of this shit back then?
I have no idea.
Isn't it beautiful? That's really an amazing process.
Someone smarter than me, let me tell you. So it's just data. It's not processing stuff. It's just, you're just holding data on there in this 4 EEPROMs. There are other things that happened at the time as well that you can program as well, like GALs and PALs, which are precursors to FPGA chips for the most part.
Okay, can you take one of these chips, peel the label off, and stick it on your window if you get like half a day's worth of sun?
If it's super bright sun, I think it will erase after some amount of time. I'm not testing that theory.
Yeah, just curious.
So during COVID, when we were all freaked out over germs and stuff, we still may be, I bought a phone soap, which is a device for your cell phone. You stick it in it. It's got a ultraviolet light in the top and the bottom. And it's supposed to kill all the germs that are on your phone. So you hit the little button and it's on for like 10 minutes, and then it's irradiating both sides of it for your phone. I used it a couple times and then got to the point where, really, am I doing this? And then I got it on my shelf.
The girlfriend has one too.
Okay, they're fine. It was on sale. I think it was $10 when I bought it. So I was like, fine, whatever. The one I have is this portable one. It actually has a little battery in it, so you can take it with you.
Oh, wow.
And it charges with a USB port. It's actually pretty nice. I'm actually really impressed with it. The UV light's not super strong, but it's strong enough. And it kills stuff. And I've seen some reviews that it actually kills bugs on your phone and things that you can shove into this thing. But I bought that prior to getting back into retro. And it's been sitting on my shelf. And then I bought it. I'm like, oh, I want to program Amiga ROMs, particularly the OS ROMs, as they upgrade you. Part of your OS is in this ROM chip, and part of it is in a software on a floppy disk or on your hard drive. Because at the time, a big hard drive was 40 megabytes in size.
Oh yeah.
You don't want to waste 256K or 512K of that on a ROM. Well, we'll just put it there, and when that thing changes, you pull the ROM and put the new one in. Okay, great. That makes total sense, especially Amiga came out in 85. So the first early ROMs were 256K. You had 256K of RAM in the thing. That's a lot of space that, well, I don't want to load this into RAM to run it because it was on a disk. So they have to go into RAM. Now we can just access those libraries and things and off the ROM. It's a little slower. It's definitely a little slower than RAM, but faster than a floppy. So now go ahead.
I'm going to detour for a second. One of the things that's going to be on my bench to work on is this, because there's something people do that they make their Commodores boot up and it says from Rich's desk or Rich Wisniewski computer. Is this what they're doing?
Yeah, they're modifying the ROM. So you can actually do that. And there are some programs out there, even for the Amiga stuff, that you can actually take things out that you know you're not going to need and put a different library in there that you can build a custom ROM. And I'm pretty sure the 64, they're doing that as well because your basics in that ROM.
Yeah.
So you can actually put a custom thing in there, burn it, and then it'll actually say whatever you want. They're just changing the text speed.
Oh, I can't wait. Okay, go back. I'm sorry.
No, that's great. I mean, that's definitely a use for it. So I wanted to burn a ROM for the new OS upgrade. The latest Amiga OS upgrade is 3.2.2, and that came out last year.
Oh, Jesus. Every time something like this happens, I'm always amazed. Somebody without being paid, or a group of people without being paid, have made a new ROM.
Yeah, it's a Hyperion for the Amiga. Hyperion. They have the license to actually make it. The developers have access to the Amiga OS is closed source. It is not open source. So they have that access to do that. And they are not getting paid. They're a group of volunteers that over time they actually slowly add things and then we'll release it. And then you can buy it's still a commercial product. Then you can buy the Amiga OS or Amiga DOS from Hyperion, the latest one. If you want up to 3.1, which is the latest version that Commodore released before they went into bankruptcy, Klonto owns all of that. And you can go buy that Amiga Forever and the Klonto stuff, and you get those licenses as well.
And that's what I'm supposed to buy.
Yeah, you're supposed to go buy that Hyperion 3.2.
Yeah, just to make sure I'm legal.
Yeah. And it's I don't mind supporting them. I want to support work. There's very few people doing work. I want to do it in a way that makes sense. I don't think any of these guys are getting rich off any of this stuff. I know there are a few people out there that are trying to, but there's a lot of products that are competing anymore. So it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
So you buy it or you don't. And that's a philosophical debate. It's beyond us.
Let's just talk about Blue SCSI or something, right? I mean, how much are you ever going to make on that, right?
Right.
How big is your audience? How many people really need it? How many people, after they buy it once, are done? They buy it once. It's going to last forever compared to the other stuff they have in their collection.
Exactly. That and Gotex. Gotex, they're big. A lot of synthesizers use them because there was a lot of old floppy disk-based ones. So they're useful for more than just an Amiga. It depends on what firmware you load into it. But anyway, so burning that ROM, so I now have a blank ROM. I have several of them that I've bought. I don't know. They came from the ones I bought are from China. Hopefully you get ones that aren't faked. They do happen sometimes where they'll paint over the ROM and write in the number you think you want it to be, and it's kind of like a counterfeit ROM or a blank ROM. Great. So I can erase them. So I have the little phone. So if I stick it inside of there, where the little crystal thing is over one of the UV lights. Hit the button. Usually takes 2 cycles, like 20 minutes, which is slower than some of the just dedicated EEPROM erasers. Some of they'll erase in like 6 minutes.
Yeah.
You only get so many erases, so I don't know what that number is. So I'm guessing it's between 100 to 1,000.
Oh, really?
Before the ROMs, yeah, they're not going to last forever. And that aspect. So you got to watch. It may be higher, but it's some number that I'll probably never hit in my lifetime because there won't be that many to go do. And then I have a little the TL866 burner. It's an older model because there's an open source software that runs on a Mac. Otherwise, the software that comes with it runs on Windows, and I don't have a Windows machine, so I got the one that runs on my Mac. And I can take the binary file, send in the parameters to this burner. I have a little adapter so the Amiga ROM fits inside of the ROM burner, and it'll burn it. It takes a couple of minutes. Write it, and then you can verify what's on there, read back what's on the chip itself to verify.
I have seen people doing that.
And you can...
And that's it. I've just seen them online, like in a video, watching them do that process while they're doing something.
Right. So, yeah, definitely. And they work out pretty well. And they're cool. I think this thing was like $60, $70, something like that. Not that expensive. I burnt some ROMs for my different Amigas. For your Amiga, there's the OS disk. Someone makes, I think it's John Hortel, makes the Diag-ROM.
Oh, yeah,
So I burnt that so we can put that in the socket and it'll boot into just that and let us test the Amiga itself. Figure out what's wrong. Is it working? Can I do a memory test? Can I test, does the keyboard work? Does, whatever needs to happen. And it's great. So and I was playing with zip drives recently, and I have a for the Amiga, it's a GVP as a brand, and it's a SCSI card. And it has an older ROM on it, so I just ordered some ROMs to burn a newer version. I'm going to try it. I've never tried that ROM yet, so I'm going to try to burn that updated firmware to a ROM, stick it in the GVP card, and hopefully it'll pick it up.
That's pretty cool. That is a neat project. And again, moving out of even the motherboard of the Amiga, out into the periphery. Is that a real word, periphery? Did I?
Yeah, peripherals. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, making it out there and doing things over on them with all the same skills. That's pretty cool. I think it's going to be neat. I'm really glad the phone soak thing just works so easily. I wonder if people use fingernail polish hardener ones too. You ever seen those fingernail ones? Like they're like a concave, concave, and you press a button. And you're supposed to have your hand under there, and it hardens the fingernail polish. I bet you could do that. Oh, but its cycle is only usually like a minute to a minute and a half. That would drive you nuts if it took 20 minutes.
Yeah. Well, if it's super strong, then it would take less time. It's just So I'll try it like
it's
after
probably still not commercial strong.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll try after a cycle or two. You can pop the ROM back in the reader, and there's a command to test that says, "Is this blank or not?" And it'll tell you if there's any of the bits aren't blank, and you go put it back in another cycle.
Well, I'll be back, Ryan, to talk about that when I'm ready to make my own Rich's basic DOS boot up.
Sure.
ROM.
So we get some blank ROMs, and we'll definitely do that.
Speaking of ROM burning, I almost said ROM testers. Yeah. It's not a ROM. Well, it does test ROMs too, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so it's a ROM tester.
Yeah.
We saw at VCF East the Retro Chip Tester version 4.
Yeah, that thing was pretty cool.
It was like $500. They gave one away. That was really awesome. They gave one away in the raffle that 42 people were entered in, and I didn't win. And I am dealing with the Salvation Army 64, which has all sorts of fun problems. Sure. And I just had bought the Retro Chip Tester Pro V2 because it's fine for all the Commodore stuff, man. It's just, it doesn't need to be the $500 model. And it probably even has Apple stuff in it. Because it's the newer stuff gets a bigger library, bigger testing.
Oh, sure.
This thing's already dialed in for what I'm doing, half the price, and got it. All of a sudden, 64 has all these weird chip issues. Dude,
Yeah.
it was great. I tested my bad SID. Sure enough, said it was bad.
Okay.
The only socketed chip I took out was the VIC-2, and it said it was good. I
Okay.
got PLA off, and as I was wrapping up my video, I did a desoldering. PLA
Okay.
tested okay. So I'm really liking this little retro chip test.
nice.
Because I can just go, is this good? Or am I wasting my time? And I'll
Okay.
know like that. I don't have to have the software to boot up. You know, I like to use the one with all the cartridge test with all the plugins.
Oh, right, because you have that cartridge port in the back of the
Yeah.
64.
So I like that. But you got to be able to get to the cartridge port. And
Right.
sometimes you can't, you know?
That makes sense.
So I was super happy about that purchase. So
So-
I'm catching up to you.
Awesome. How did the chip, when you pull the chip out, does it just fit into like a ZIF socket?
That's it. Someone 3D printed all the material around it. It has a zip socket, has a little
Oh.
pedometer, a little test button. It runs off of my USB bank.
Oh, nice.
And I just put it in, close the ZIF. I go, bloop, 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 bloop. I turn the dial. You couldn't see me, everyone, but I go, bloop, 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 and I turn the dial.
Nice.
And I
like
work
that.
through the menu system, and I get to the MOS chips, and then they're by number, and they have and for people like me, they put the common name too. So it'll have a chip number, and it'll say VIC-2, and I'm like, oh, this is the one I want, right? And I can check the chip and look back and forth, and be like, all right, close it. You hit go, and it runs tests. That's all I know.
Okay. No, I was just curious how I didn't really see the one that you had. So I was curious if it was like a ZIF socket, like my burner is a ZIF socket as well for the different chips. And if they don't fit, they can make an adapter.
It's about the size of the phone.
Okay.
An iPhone. Whereas remember the version 4 was like 3 iPhones laid down beside each other.
Right.
This one's just handheld. You got it like this, you put the chip in, close it, boom, hit test. Away you go. Has a little LCD screen.
Okay.
It's just really clean and neat. So I like that. I thought that was
That's perfect.
I thought that was a good buy.
How you don't know what it does outside of the Commodore chips?
Not yet. No, I got
Okay.
those apples to get into. Well, it has other things in the menu system. I just don't know what they are. Because I saw MOS and went, oh, this has to be Commodore. And I went
Right.
into it. And sure enough, they have the dumb names. And I was like, oh, I don't know who a Bernard chip is. Oh, this might help with my pet,
Good.
Ryan.
Yeah, we still have a pet to get functional.
And wouldn't that be nice if they're all socketed, spray them down, take them out one at a time, test them, and say, okay, all my chips are good. And now I move on to the next step.
Right.
Wow.
I know we took out that. I think we took out that one big capacitor.
Yeah. No, that was the VIC-20. That was the VIC-20.
We took something out of the pet.
That
didn't we?
was with the rusted legs. Was in
Yeah.
the VIC-20, and we were like, yeah, there's no way this is working. And so
Okay.
we took that out. We snipped it, if I wasn't mistaken, because it looked
I
bad.
believe it looked pretty bad.
You think we took one out of the pet too? I don't know. I can go watch the video. I got the video up there. Talk about
Right.
content creation. Ryan was down. We tag teamed and made a video. So there's even a video of us testing the pet for the first time.
Which was a lot of fun.
It was interesting. And rightly so, dear listener. I don't know enough, so I put it back. I said, hey, this is really clean. The monitor actually showed some stuff to where it was like,
Right.
yeah, let's not screw up something that actually could be something. Let's
Right.
not screw up something that can be something. Maybe that's a good way. I don't know if that's a good way to put it, but you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. I want to know more about your chip tester as the future goes when you start digging into some of those Apple products and what you end up with. It sounds like a neat thing.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it does Amiga chips too.
I don't know. I will look. We will have to take a peek one night and see what the little menu system looks like. Because
Definitely.
250 is a lot different than 500. I can tell you.
Oh,
that.
it is.
That's one's a little bit more manageable. All right, Brian, I think that brings us a close for this evening.
It does.
Does that kind of wrap up the door?
I think we had a great chat, shared a lot of our social media interests, what motivated us to actually start here, where do we branch out to a little bit, and how are we sharing knowledge and information with others. I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you, dear listener.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.